The entire street fell silent when one desperate cry echoed through the crowded avenue. Luxury cars stopped, pedestrians froze in place, and dozens of phones turned toward a homeless man standing beside a trash bag filled with empty bottles. Hanging from his neck was a glowing red ruby pendant that caught the sunlight like fire. An elegant billionaire woman suddenly pointed at it with trembling hands, her face turning pale as tears filled her eyes. She shouted that the pendant belonged to her son, who had disappeared years ago without a trace. Nobody expected what was about to unfold, and within minutes, every person on that street would witness a truth that no amount of money could have prepared them for. Before we continue, if you believe kindness can change lives and that everyone deserves a second chance, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment sharing where you're watching from, share it with your friends and family, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another heart-touching story. The homeless man, whose name was Daniel, had become invisible to the world long ago. Every morning, he searched through garbage bins collecting recyclable bottles just to afford a loaf of bread. His clothes were torn, his beard was untrimmed, and people crossed the street to avoid him without ever wondering how he had ended up there. Years earlier, Daniel had been a skilled paramedic who spent his life saving strangers. But after losing his wife and young daughter in a devastating highway accident, his grief swallowed everything he had built. Depression cost him his career, his home, and eventually his hope. Society labeled him a failure, yet inside his broken heart remained the same compassion that had once made him a hero. Around his neck hung an extraordinary ruby pendant. To everyone else it looked expensive, but to Daniel it was priceless for an entirely different reason. Several years earlier, during a freezing winter night, he had discovered a frightened little boy wandering alone near an abandoned train station. The child was weak, injured, and unable to remember where he lived. Daniel spent the night protecting him from the bitter cold, giving him his own coat and sharing the last piece of bread he had. Before sunrise, police officers finally located the child after an intense citywide search. The grateful officers rushed the boy home before Daniel could even ask his name. In the confusion, the child accidentally left behind the ruby pendant. Daniel had kept it ever since, not because it was valuable, but because it reminded him that even during the darkest chapter of his life, he had still managed to save someone. Standing across the street was Eleanor Hayes, one of the wealthiest businesswomen in the country. Despite her success, her heart had never recovered from the terrifying day her 8-year-old son, Ethan, disappeared during a crowded holiday festival. Although Ethan was found safely the following morning, the family never discovered who had protected him through the freezing night. The only clue was the missing ruby pendant that had been passed through generations of their family. For years, Eleanor searched for both the pendant and the mysterious stranger she believed had rescued her son, hoping one day to thank him. Now fate had brought them together in the least expected place imaginable. The crowd quickly assumed Daniel had stolen the pendant. Angry voices demanded that police arrest him immediately. Some people recorded videos, eager for another public humiliation to spread across social media. But Daniel never argued. He quietly removed the pendant and gently placed it into Eleanor's shaking hands. Instead of defending himself, he simply smiled with sadness, believing that once again, people had already decided who he was based only on his appearance. Everything changed when Eleanor looked closely at the back of the pendant. Attached to it was a tiny folded piece of paper that had remained hidden for years. Carefully unfolding it, she discovered faded handwriting that read, "Found with your son." He smiled even in the cold. "Keep believing in tomorrow." The words were written by Daniel during that unforgettable winter night, hoping someone would know the child had never been alone. Tears streamed down Eleanor's face as memories flooded back. Her son had often spoken about a kind man with gentle eyes who stayed beside him until help arrived. That man had sacrificed his own warmth so a frightened child could survive the freezing night. While the city praised police officers and volunteers, nobody had ever searched for the homeless stranger who had quietly walked away without asking for recognition or reward. The crowd, moments earlier so eager to judge, now stood in complete silence. Many lowered their phones in shame. Others wiped tears from their eyes. They finally understood that kindness often wears clothes the world refuses to notice. Eleanor refused to let Daniel disappear again. She publicly thanked him for saving the most precious person in her life. Instead of offering charity, she offered dignity. She arranged medical treatment, temporary housing, counseling, and helped reconnect him with former colleagues who remembered the brave paramedic he once was. Slowly, Daniel rebuilt his life, proving that compassion can restore what tragedy tries to destroy. Months later, Daniel stood proudly inside a community rescue center that Eleanor had funded in honor of everyday heroes who never make the headlines. There, he trained young volunteers to help people in crisis, reminding them that the greatest act of kindness is often seen by no one except the person whose life is changed forever. Ethan, now a successful young man, visited often, wearing the restored ruby pendant as a symbol that hope sometimes returns in the most unexpected way. If this story has touched your heart so far, please write the word kindness in the comments below. Your message may inspire someone who needs hope today. The street that had once echoed with judgment became remembered for something far greater. It became the place where appearances lost their power, where gratitude defeated prejudice, and where one forgotten act of compassion changed multiple lives forever. Daniel never became famous, but he became something far more meaningful, a reminder that true heroes are not measured by wealth, appearance, or status, but by the love they show when no one is watching. If this story moved you, please like this video, leave your thoughts in the comments, share it with someone who believes in second chances, and subscribe for more inspiring stories that remind us all that kindness is the greatest treasure anyone can ever carry.
Siempre ilusionado, así que estamos jugando mal. Y después del partido, resultado que sea, me enojo, estoy contento y me dura. La tristeza y el enojo me dura muy poco. La felicidad me dura un montón. Puedo estar contento una semana, pero triste poco, porque total ya no se puede. Qué rico que está el café. Dios bendiga al café. Hablando un poco de fútbol, ya que arrancamos con todo esto, vamos a ver la lista de Scaloni. Yo no soy acá analista, pero sí tengo una opinión. Esta Scaloni convocados al Argentina Mundial 20. Según Teis Sports, tenemos Jerónimo Rulli con Muso, banco. El Diego Martínez, Diego Martínez,